bernardgoldberg.com, has written a very provocative column posted on the website about the racial aspect of the Trayvon Martin killing. Bernie joins us now from Miami. So what's the main point in your column, Bernie?
Well, first let me say, Bill, I want to affirm what you've said several times, that all decent people should want justice in this case, and if there's a crime that's been committed, the criminal should be punished. I want to make that very clear at the outset. But the hypocrisy and the sanctimony of the national press and the civil rights establishment is appalling. If Trayvon Martin was shot and killed by another black teenager, President Obama wouldn't have weighed in, Al Sharpton wouldn't be holding rallies, the media would not be running this on television for hours and hours on end, and except for his family and friends, we wouldn't even know the name Trayvon Martin. The reason this is a story, and I'm glad that it is because Trayvon Martin is black and the person who shot him is white. And if the person who shot him were black, the media would ignore this story the way it ignores almost every other story involving black-on-black crime. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is that liberals in the media like to show their good racial manners. They don't want to shine a spotlight on dysfunctional behavior in some black neighborhoods, and that's also how the civil rights establishment wants it, because they don't want to air dirty laundry in front of a national media, in front of the whole nation, rather. Now, let me give you just one example, Bill, very quickly to make my point. I'll bet you virtually everybody watching us never heard the name Delrick Wayman Miller. Delrick Wayman Miller was a 9-month-old black baby sound asleep on the couch at his house in Detroit when, in the early morning hours just a few weeks ago, someone opened fire with an AK-47 and shot into the house 37 times. One of the bullets hit and killed the little baby. President Obama didn't weigh in on that. Al Sharpton didn't stir up the nation on that. The national media didn't fall in love with that story. Why not? The only thing I could think of, Bill, is why they made one story into a national story and the other they ignored is because in one case the shooter had light skin and in the other case the shooter had dark skin.
Well, last week we did a story on the south side of Chicago where there were 49 shootings over the St. Patrick's Day weekend. 49, all right, resulting in, I think, 14 or 15 dead, including a 6-year-old girl whose face we did put up on the screen. And it was black-on-black crime. It was generated by gang activity. But the civil rights people will tell you, the Al Sharptons of the world will tell you, I've had enough times on the factor to know this, that the minority community, 13% of the American population, the black community, has to be protected from people of different color. And remember, Zimmerman is 50% Hispanic, okay? It has to be protected from them, from the majority who may be racially prejudiced against black people.
Right, exactly.
Because of skin.
Exactly.
So that's why they do it. Now, the civil rights people, their mandate isn't to protect African Americans from other African Americans. That's not their definition.
Right.
So that's what they say.
Yeah. Let me make 2 points. One, I should have made the first time that the shooter in Detroit that killed that little baby, police think it was related to gang violence, and given that it was gang violence in that neighborhood, the shooter is almost certainly black. That's why I said it was black-on-black crime. But you made another interesting point. George Zimmerman is half Hispanic. Right. And the New York Times, you can't make this up, the New York Times refers to him in print as a white Hispanic. If George Zimmerman won a Nobel Prize for medicine, I guarantee you he wouldn't be called a white Hispanic. But they need the word white in there to further the storyline, which is white vigilante kills black unarmed teenager. So what makes the story juicy for the media and what justifies the existence in some cases of some of these civil rights leaders is that it has to be black, victim, white shooter. If it were anything else, they don't care about it.
Okay, now we have a minute left, right? A minute? Okay. What would you do with Al Sharpton if you were the president of NBC News? Remember, all the MSNBC people answer to the NBC News hierarchy. So what would you do here?
Good question. They do stuff that's inexcusable, but this one would win a prize for ridiculously inexcusable behavior. It's one thing to have an opinion on an opinion show and not be balanced. I get that. I get that. But to lead rallies and then do your show from the side of the rally, that is ridiculous. You can't do that. I think what the president of NBC News should have done is to say, you can do one of two things, Reverend Sharpton. You could either talk about this or you can hold a rally, but you can't do both, so pick one. But they don't do that because they don't care. They don't care about this. This is getting ratings for them, and that's all they care about, and it's disgraceful.
All right, Bernie Goldberg, everybody. Plenty more ahead as Factor moves along this evening.